Hey guys, today I figured I'd do something a little bit different. I'm by no means like a professional movie reviewer, so if you're looking for anything that's like totally non-biased and well thought out, this is not the video. This will basically be a summarization of the movie, but in my way, so it might not be 100% accurate. And also a bit of a mini, just a taste of an analysis of the gay subtext in the film, because there's a lot of that. Almost overtext, whatever the opposite of subtext is. Anyway, if that's your thing, I hope you will sit back and enjoy. Today I'm here to talk about a very special movie to me called The Watcher. The Watcher was a movie that was released in, I think, September of 2000, directed by Joe Charbonic, who also directed Dog Star videos, I think, or like concert videos, which was the band that Keanu Reeves was in. There's a little bit of drama behind this because apparently Joe Charbonic, or whoever, I'm assuming it's Joe Charbonic, totally pranked Keanu by forging his name in one of his movie scripts, I guess, for the contract, and Keanu was like, I'm not doing that, this is terrible. He wasn't able to like prove that he didn't sign it somehow, so instead of going to court, he's just like, fuck it, I'll do your shit movie. And thus The Watcher was born. And I know it's probably not great that he was basically pranked into doing this movie, but you know, it's not about him. It's about me. So without further ado, The Watcher. So we start our movie off with a very difficult to watch opening sequence. It's so many bright lights, and the camera shakes so much, and the frames drop too, so you kind of get this weird, you know, that effect where the light just like wiggles, like you get that, and it almost makes me nauseous looking at it. So after that super long intro, we finally are introduced to our main baddie of the film, our Babu, David Alan Griffin, played by Keanu Reeves. His name's really not good. I actually hate his name so much that I will be referring to him as Jerome as from now on. So whenever you hear Jerome, talking about Keanu. And you're probably wondering right now, is he really dancing? Yes, he is dancing. You see, Jerome cannot kill without dancing for his victims. So every time, and I mean every time before he kills someone, he will do some kind of dance. Maybe it's like a day before he kills him, maybe it's like the second before he kills him. But yes, he must do his little Jerome dance, and I think it's really cute. James Spader plays a cop named Joel Abraham, or Abram. See, another problem is Joel's name. It's Joel, but when I see it, my brain just automatically says Joel instead of Joel. I know his name's Joel, I know it's pronounced Joel, but my brain sees Joel. So if I go between Joel and Joel, please don't hate me. I cannot help that. So anyway, cut to Joel Abraham, played by James Spader, who's in therapy because he is haunted by a certain serial killer who he was unable to catch.
Oh no, I blame the asshole who did them. This man's whole life is about killing.
And this leads us to see Jerome's first on-screen kill. Not before a little dance, of course, but he just looks so good here too. Just unrelated. I just really like how he looks in this movie. As I mentioned before, Keanu was basically pranked into doing this movie, so you can really see him kind of taking the piss out of it a little bit, and it's really fun. I think it adds to Griffin's weirdness and his serial killerness, I suppose.
Shall we dance? No, don't play hard to get. This will be fun.
I mean, the subtext already starts here. Like, he starts saying things like, oh, you know, it was our finest moment. Like, he's like reminiscing when he was being chased, like it was like the best day of his life, and it's insane.
You know I did it for you. You came so close to me that night. I remember clearly what I felt when I heard your footsteps falling behind me. Pride. thought it would keep us together forever.
Meanwhile, Joel's having these like really intense sex dreams throughout the entire movie, and it's pretty bad because he literally like nearly throws up half the time. So he's dealing with a lot. One afternoon, Joe's just chilling in his house, you know, drinking some tea or whatever, until he receives a FedEx envelope with a picture of a lady who we saw earlier getting iced by Keanu. And because apparently Joel takes like 2 weeks to open his mail, he basically let 2 women die, which I think is so funny because why does he take so long to open his mail? Like, I don't understand. Upon receiving the FedEx images, he decides to give his little cop friend a call, letting him know that he is 100% sure that Jerome is the one behind the killing of the past like 3 girls. Meanwhile, while they're digging around, Jerome begins to pursue his next victim. While marinating in his bed, Joel gets a special little call from this special little man.
Hi, it's me.
So Jerome Griffin calls Joe to let him know that he's been watching him. And of course, Joe's like, the Watcher is watching me now. Oh no, but it's also through this that we find out that these dreams are actually horrible flashbacks to when Jerome ruined Joel's date night. Basically, Joel found his like main squeeze tied up in a chair. It just keeps replaying every night in his head, and Jerome is basically the source of all of the trauma Joel has now. He's just a giant dickhead.
Good night, Joel.
And I love him. The next day, Joel receives flowers and a welcome back card. And okay, is it to fuck with him? Of course it's to fuck with him. But why not just send another FedEx envelope? Like, he took his time to pick out flowers for him, you know? I think that's a lot. Like, he doesn't need to do all of this, but he does because he wants his attention. He also has like 8 hours to save Horse Girl. That's also, I guess, important. He also talks to his therapist again, which is, I'm guessing this is to build some kind of like, oh, it's a romance, because he's like, would you want me to rescue your daughter if it was her missing? And she's like, oh yeah, totally. Like, why would you want him to save her? He literally lets everyone die. He's the worst cop ever. But she's like down bad for him, so she doesn't care. So the picture of the blonde lady is basically plastered everywhere, and she's now considered a missing person. And we have cops doing art commissions on Photoshop 7, and Joelle looking at her crime photos like I look at my art. But I just don't get, like, how the hell did they not find her? Like, she's all over the news. You tell me no one knew like who she was? No one knew who she was. And she works at a camera shop at the mall in the year 2000. Like, I remember those places were kind of hype. I mean, I was only 5, but I do remember those places were kind of happening at the time. You know, at least on a Friday or something. I don't know. So Spader and his gang try to find her before 9 p.m. and unfortunately, they don't make it on time. Aw.
No known boyfriend. She has a cat named Frank. Apparently, he doesn't watch the news.
Wonder what happened to the cat.
The cat is okay, thank God. Our little miracle did not suffer in the hands of Jerome. Aww. Jerome successfully ices the blonde lady and gives Joel a call to make sure he's still thinking about him or something. It's just more scenes where you're just like, this man's pretty into him.
It's amazing, isn't it? We're all stacked right on top of each other, but we don't really notice each other anymore, do we? You notice me, though. Don't you, Joel?
Yeah, I notice you.
Joel is so distraught that he decides to celebrate and eat at his favorite Vietnamese restaurant again, though a certain someone with 144p vision seems to be keeping an eye on him. Joe has a feeling he's being watched, so he runs out the shop with a full stomach, mind you. And he just does another shitty job of chasing Jerome down. Keanu successfully drives away in his cute little blue car, and our lemon man is left in lemon defeat. I mean, it's probably because the large amount of food he just ate is just sitting in his stomach. You know, he just ran out. You can't chase someone when you have a belly full of noodles. Joe continues to have intense sex dreams that very night, becoming so intense that he wakes up in the same suit that he wore yesterday and just goes to see his therapist. On his way to therapy, we run into a familiar face in the elevator. To us, but not to he, since he has no idea what he looks like. The scene absolutely just kills me because Joel looks like the last shit he needs is someone coming into the same elevator as him. Like he literally inches away slightly, and it's really funny. And meanwhile, Jerome looks like he's like gonna cream his pants. So one of my favorite things about movies is when they know how to dress up their characters, and this movie knew how to dress up their characters, because I think Jerome's outfit here is perfect. It's just perfect character design to me. Like it's such a square and straight silhouette, and it just makes him look super tall and foreboding, and it's really, really good. I love the turtleneck. I love that in every other scene he's usually wearing like these very dark cool tones, almost like very dark, just blacks, cool blacks. And then in this scene he's wearing dark colors, but it's browns or an olive or more warm tones. So it's kind of telling you that he's a sinister character, always wearing black, but he is also open to being vulnerable in some way. Even though he's not quite there because the colors are very dark and muted, it's still warm and inviting. And I'm absolutely bullshitting this, but I think this is really fun to overanalyze like outfits and costuming. Jerome spots the office of the therapist that Joelle's been seeing, Miss Polly. And this weird negative effect happens a lot through the movie. Like it's like the effects that I used to use when I started using Movie Maker in the 7th grade. It's really fun. Joe has a therapy session where he basically finds out that Jerome is madly in love with him. There's just nothing else to add to this. It's there. It's right there. It's not even subtext.
What the hell does that mean?
So we have Joelle staring like a deer in headlights again, because Jerome has his eyes set on yet another possible victim. And can you guess what happens to her? So our loving antagonist, Keanu, goes into Polly's office because he does not like competition.
Usually, Mr. Abraham, I do.
What kind of help do you provide?
Well,
Do you think some of your patients might pay to come to see you because you're very pretty?
So they're running out of time on looking for the alternative Jane Doe girl, and for some reason Spader's just like, hey, let's just start grabbing people off the street and forcing them to look at this person they've never seen before, because clearly they're lying. Really big props to this guy though.
Girl, she's about your age. Fuck you, cop, I don't know shit. Leave me alone.
I also haven't mentioned this before, but I think the movie score is genuinely really good. It's really fun hearing horns and crescendo during intense scenes. I think it really elevates it, and it's something you don't hear a lot these days, unless it's like a Marvel film, which who cares about Marvel, or some other boring stuff. So, but I do think the music here is really funny. So Jerome finds the lady hiding in like a cupboard and scoops her up, and next scene, because that's not important, Joel finally gets the chance to see Jerome in the flesh. So he immediately begins to chase him down, and thus begins the epic chase scene. Now, for some reason, Keanu was like an athletic god in this. He's just hopping over shit. He's rolling, he's twisting, he's at no problem, you know? Unfortunately, Joel's vitamin deficiency causes him to continuously eat shit. He needs Gatorade, but he ain't stopping until he gets his guy. Jerome sexily climbs down some phone wire, but the sheer weight of his ass cheeks causes a break, which makes him fall and have a little boo-boo, but it's back on his feet in no time. Joel is still eating shit. I mean, he barely catches up and honestly shouldn't even be this close to Jerome, realistically, but whatever. He shoots at him and misses somehow. I think Keanu runs in a very funky way, and I think he should have been able to at least get his leg. Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, Joel attempts to climb down the wire himself, and we are suddenly presented with James Spader's big, juicy wide load.
Double cheese anchovies?
He doesn't look like someone who's packing, but he is. He's packing lethal weapons in there, and it's just, I don't know, just threw me off guard. I mean, I don't know.
She kind of bad though.
By then, it's just your average car chase scene, which is boring to me. I don't care about car chase scenes. You know what's gonna happen, they're gonna blow up. And unfortunately, once again, Joel is left humiliated because he doesn't get his man, and he's left in defeat. That very same night, Joel is found completely juiced and unconscious in his apartment and is taken to the hospital where Polly, the therapist, pays him a visit. And there's honestly nothing between these two. Like, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to be like, they like each other. Look, she visited him outside of office hours to make sure he's okay. We know what it is. The only purpose she has in this movie is to basically be in the way of Jerome. And I know what it sounds like. I know it sounds like I'm a yaoi fangirl who's like, boo, woman bad. But it's literally, I promise you, that's the plot. We literally see Jerome playing a tape recording of Joelle and Polly's session, and he keeps replaying the bits where she says,
Did you miss him? In other words, he missed you.
Odd, isn't it?
and he looks like he's gonna cry because Joel is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What the hell does that mean?
It's kind of sad. But also, guess who's here? Guess he adopted little Miracle. Unfortunately, this is the last time we see Miracle, and I'm gonna assume he took good care of her. Nothing bad happened to him. Aww. Joe has one final dream, and with post-nut clarity, we find out that he literally had to take a moment to choose between chasing this man down and saving the lady in a burning house. He knew the house was burning down, and he still was like, should I pursue Jerome, Keanu, Griffin, or should I save the lady who's literally burning into a crisp? Also, he was a homewrecker, which is just humiliating. He decides to meet up with Keanu at her graveyard site. Jerome stands there menacingly and is super jealous that he moved to be closer to her grave. He's just like, wow, he'd rather fuck this corpse over me, how pathetic. And to be honest, it is a little pathetic that he would do that. Joel is so embarrassed, he's like, I'm gonna blow your ass out. And Keanu's like, oh word, and pulls out Polly's bloodied up calling card, insinuating that he killed her. The Spader sees the debate and demands that he take him to Polly because he knows he wouldn't just kill her so quickly. Also, he gives him his gun, which is not smart. And suddenly, the woobification of Jerome begins. He tells him he's happy to see him and shoots the gun like, tee-hee, it's loaded. Like, it's really cute. I guess he's sort of like a tsundere, but not really. No, he's like a yandere, actually. Yeah. This is exactly what this movie is. It's yandere. It's a movie. Well, anyway, once we enter the car, Jerome is just in total simp mode, and the whole vibe of the scene is just Jerome tearing his heart out and giving it to Joel.
We're going to make it through this, aren't we, Joel? You're a good friend.
Now let's all come together and think. What is Jerome's motive? Why does he do it? Why is he so obsessed with getting Joel's attention? I'll let you think about that.
What do you need? I want you to think about what you need. It's up to me to try and get that and make an exchange. Anything you need for Miss Spielman's safety.
What I need is you.
It's because he's gay. That's everything he does is because he's gay. That is the conclusion. And I know the movie's not over yet, but by this point, you, me, everyone knows that that is the reason why he does it. Further into this conversation, we find out that Jerome was incredibly jealous of Lisa. He was upset that she was taking Joel's attention away from him. So he decided to find out a way to get rid of her, to basically, get Joel's attention again, get the focus back on them. And now it seems like that's pretty much what he's doing with Polly. He doesn't like that Joel is going to these sessions all the time. He doesn't like that he's feeling feelings towards her.
What, Dr. Polly now? I think you're spending too much time with that Polly bitch.
And do you know what they do with all this? Do you know what he says?
You're like a brother to me. Did you know that?
And I do think by this point, the writers or whoever was in charge started to realize that this is looking kind of romantic. So they threw in the brother to me thing. But you can't just take it all back after this.
Amazing, isn't it? We're We're all stacked right on top of each other. Don't you know I did it for you? You noticed me, though. Don't you, Joel? You came so close to me that night. I remember clearly what I felt when I heard your footsteps falling behind me.
Exactly what is brother like about their entire dynamic? He is cuckoo bananas over him. There's no like sibling relationship between them. Let's say Joel was a girl. Let's say Joel was Polly and Jerome was, you know, seeking Polly. It would immediately be shown as a movie about a psycho guy wanting to be in a relationship with this, I don't know, cop lady or whatever, detective. And none of this, you're like a brother to me. He would not say you're like a sister to me at all. That would not be in the script, because that's not what this movie is. Just the whole you're like a brother to me shit, like almost genuinely pisses me off just a little bit, because it's like, come on, don't pussy out. Pussy in.
What the what is that?
Okay, this I think is one of the best parts of the movie. Like, no lie. It's the editing is so much, and it's so like, oh yeah, look at this cool scene. Like, I do think they really thought this looked amazing and badass, because Rob Zombie's playing in the background. It looks like something I would make when I was 13. And for that reason, yes, I do love it. I mean, this whole bit is the reason why I even did that animation. Like, I first did a little fan cam version of it, I guess, and I just love it so much because it's so bizarre. So it made me really inspired to do an animation, which I love a lot, and you should check out, I think. Listen, it just makes me happy, okay? We all have our dumb things that make us happy, and this is one of them for me. I also think it's just amazing that after knocking Joel unconscious and kidnapping Polly, he does a sexy little dance for them. Like, I think that's really nice of him. I know it's what he does before he kills, but I just think it's neat. After his sexy little dance, he basically makes Polly officiate their wedding or something like that.
Did you or did you not, in your professional opinion, reach the conclusion that Joel and I need each other in order to give meaning to our lives?
Yes, but
So Jerome is just really pissed because he was abandoned by Joel because he moved away and to try to better his life and started like talking to other ladies and stuff. And he's mad too that he didn't give him a proper thank you, because he thinks that Joel's life was so boring and heterosexual that he needed Jerome to spice things up.
What do I want you to say? I want you to say thank you. I want you to say thank you for coming here and saving your pathetic life.
And you know what? That's not so bad. Joel decides to be a complete idiot and just straight up stomps on Jerome's heart by saying,
David, do you know how many serial killers are active in Chicago right now? 5.
and proceeds to finish the blow by calling him paperwork. Yeah, paperwork, while Polly is tied up and could, you know, anything that he says wrong could totally put her in danger, but he doesn't care. So Jerome is like, you're not rocking with me no more? Pisses his pants and slaps the ever-loving shit out of him. In a fit of rage, Keanu prepares to turn Polly into Christmas ham, and it's like, of course he would do that because you said the worst thing you could say to him in front of a hostage, you dingus. But it's by this time, in what seems to be a change of heart, Joel mutters a small thank you. What follows is totally not a gay response.
Tell me again.
Judgment clouded by gay thoughts, Jerome walks directly into Joel's trap and proceeds to get pranked. Joel shoots some tank and everything lights up, including Jerome, who literally shouts his name, shouts Joel's name as he burns, because this is what brothers do. And and with that, Joel and Polly jump into safety in the water as the building blows up, and so does Jerome, because I refuse to believe that ending, okay? I refuse to believe it just ends with Jerome getting absolutely Krispy Kremed and just forgotten like that. And I mean, the movie really does just end immediately after that, because no one wants to see the aftermath where Polly and Joel make out and fuck in front of Jerome's fake body double corpse. No one wants to see that. I love that it's just like, fuck you, it's over, that's it. I think it's perfect. I think the runtime of this movie is perfect too. 1 hour and 35 minutes, I think. That's amazing. That's the perfect movie length. Listen, this movie is not perfect by any means. In fact, it's objectively terrible. Like it's not good, you know? But for some reason, it just makes me really happy. Like it's really fun for me to watch. Even I was afraid that I wouldn't enjoy it as much if I watched it alone than when I watched it with friends, because I watched this movie twice with friends and it was just a blast. And I thought if I, you know, went through it alone for this review that I would be like, you know, this movie isn't as fun. But no, it's just as, it's even more fun because more of it starts to make sense. And what's weird is, for some reason, the more I watch it, the better it is. Like, maybe I'm tricking myself into thinking it's good, but I don't know. So there's something about terrible movies that seem to grab my attention more than critically acclaimed movies. Like, I guess because there's always something special about them that I can find, even if I gotta squint. I just love gushing about movies a lot of people consider to be lame, because it sort of makes me feel better about making things. Like, I might not create the best art or best animations, but no matter how bad it is, someone other than myself will appreciate it, and it will mean something to them. And I think that's really neat. Also, Keanu's just really hot in this. Like, I like him playing a dark role because it makes my brain go baboon. So if you also want to go baboon, if you want to laugh, if you want to make fun of a bad movie with friends, you know, then check out The Watcher. I think you will enjoy it more than you think you will. Thank you so much to Jules, Star, Mina Coletta, Leds, Shell, KMM, Krogezo, Mita Pancake, Finn, Chocolate Hoarder, Jenny, Grace, Sproutlet, Snoot, Lilith, Courtney, Alice, Aisha, Crystal, Mouse, Robbie, Mandy, Lebkuchen, Caitlin, Kaylee, and Chansey. Thank you so much for your fattest support. Thank you so much for giving me a little bit of monies so that I can continue living and still somehow be able to support myself and hopefully my family. If you would like your name shouted out to the world in my videos, you can feel free to support me there as well. I post pretty frequently, which I didn't expect. I do post pretty frequently. You know, you can vote for stuff. It's really fun, and I really love you guys. So thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you next time. Bye.